Hi, I'm Willa L. We all have people that impact our lives and make us who we are. Nurse practitioners are important in the medical field. My mom, Danielle Layton, is a nurse practitioner and she works at a family-assisted living facility called Liberty Commons. She's an amazing nurse practitioner and helps so many people. She's kind, smart, and funny. She plays such a huge role there, and they are so lucky to have her. I was able to sit down and talk with my mom about her medical field background and how she made it to where she is. Let's go see her. As you can see, I'm here with Danielle. So, tell me about yourself.
So a little bit about me. I grew up in Rhode Island. I was born there. I have an older brother who now lives on the Cape. Both of my parents ended up becoming teachers. My dad was always a teacher, and in fact, he was one of my teachers when I was in high school. He was my Spanish teacher. My mom she started out, she had a ton of different jobs, but she ended up loving cooking and baking, so she became a professional chef. So she did that for many, many years, and then she actually became a culinary teacher at Bristol, Plymouth. And interestingly enough, she was dyslexic growing up, and they didn't understand dyslexia at that point. So she never went off to college, and she ended up graduating and getting her bachelor's in teaching when she was 60. So she kind of did things not necessarily the way you're supposed to, but she got it done. I lived abroad when I was in high school for a year. I lived in Spain with a Spanish family in Madrid and went to an all-girls Catholic school. And then when I was in college, I ended up living in Germany for a year, which was a great experience. And I found it beneficial because when I started practicing, I ended up using a lot of my Spanish with my patients. So it was a really great experience. I had my daughter, when we were living in Connecticut, and I was working in Springfield, Mass, and that's where you were born. And then probably when you were about 6, we decided to move back out to the Cape where my brother and his family were living along with my dad. And we all kind of moved into one house and lived all together. And then we ended up getting a house, and here we are.
What made you want to go into the medical field?
You want to go into the medical field? Honestly, forensics. So when I was about 11, I was very interested in becoming a profiler. And that was not a very common profession at that point. So I wanted to work with the FBI and become a profiler. And then I became very fascinated with forensics and forensic pathology. And that's kind of what got me into the medical field. So I ended up trying very hard for many years, trying to get into the medical examiner's office. And I ended up doing that and loved it. But kind of life took me in a different direction. But I would say that's what got me interested in the medical field.
Yeah. When did you know you wanted to be a nurse practitioner?
As far as wanting to become a nurse practitioner, to be honest, I didn't know what a nurse practitioner was. I wanted to go to medical school. I wanted to be a forensic pathologist, and I didn't get into medical school the first time around. And while I was taking a year to regroup and take biochemistry and to retake the test in order to get into medical school, I kind of fell upon the profession. Someone that I knew had someone come up to them who was a nurse practitioner, funny enough, at MGH, which is where I studied, and told him about the profession, and he in turn told me, and I thought it was a really interesting path given that I was a little bit older And then if I did end up going into medical school, what I wanted to do was 12 years, and I would lose a large portion of my life where I could have a family and things like that. So I just kind of fell into the field of being a nurse practitioner.
Who inspired you to go into medical school?
Who inspired me to go into the medical field? That's a really hard question. As I said, I think, honestly, I'd have to say my Aunt Bonnie. She had polio. She was afflicted when she was 6 years old in 1940, I want to say 47 or 48. And so she grew up in an iron lung. And I don't know if you know what an iron lung is, but basically you still have the body of a 6-year-old. It doesn't age, but your lungs can't breathe on their own. You're paralyzed from the neck down. So you're put into a tube, an iron lung, and it compresses and decompresses your lungs and allows you to breathe. So my parents promised her that when they bought a house, she would be able to come and live with them. So when I was 6 months old, they bought a house, and in order to have the iron lung there, they had to have the fire department. They used to have drills in order to get her to the hospital if need be. So they had to reinforce the floors. But basically, I grew up with her in the house, and we would kind of take care of her, and she and I were very close. She was kind of like a second mother. So that was probably one of the first people that I helped care for, in a sense. So I would say if there's anyone that kind of got me into the medical field and made me realize that that was something that I truly enjoyed, would be my Aunt Bonnie.
What is the most rewarding thing you've done since you've been a nurse practitioner?
It's a really hard question. I'm really blessed that I absolutely love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. So a lot of the times I have, here I work in an inpatient facility. So I have nurses calling me all the time. I have people stopping me on a Saturday if I'm walking through going to visit my dad. And there's really not a clock in and clock out. So I never mind answering questions, being helpful. And I would say when I did primary care beforehand, that was one of the things as well. I mean, I'd be stopped in the supermarket by patients, and they'd ask me for things, and I loved doing it.
My mom is a hardworking nurse practitioner and put on a lot of work to get where she is today. She is very attentive to her patients and loves what she does. That's why I admire her so much. Thanks for watching.